Welcome everyone to this Friday Mindfulness UK session. We thought we would branch out in a new direction today on what we're going to call Freestyle Friday. We will split the hour into quarters and we will do 3 practices and then a group shared discussion. And I guess we'd like to call this a bicycle practice. Now you're probably thinking, what on earth is that? Well, it involves matching our practice to our needs and our feelings at a particular moment in time, depending on how we're doing. And it reminds us of how to use the different techniques of practice that we've been taught. So when we learn to ride a bike as a kid, someone's probably running alongside us, they're sort of pausing our back and we're pedaling like mad, trying desperately not to fall over, and probably just gripping like mad to the handlebars. But once we know how to ride a bike, we don't carry on doing that forever. Of course not. When we're going uphill, sure, we probably hold on a bit tighter on the handlebars and pedal a bit harder. But when we're going downhill, we can coast. We can just let the bike run and the wheels run with gravity. And we may even start cycling with one hand, or if you're very good and got good motor skills, with no hands. Because we know how to ride a bike. And we vary our riding to fit the place we're in, the terrain, the steepness. So it's a little bit like this with mindfulness practices. We've been taught mindfulness practice with the breath, and that takes various different forms. Generally, with our practice, it's just following the natural rhythm of the breath, but there can be some more yogic practices of taking deep breaths slowly, counting practices. There's body sensations, body scans, sound practices, just pausing, being in the moment and listening for sounds arising and passing. There's mantras that we could repeat, there's prayers, and there's loving kindness or metta practices. And they all have different characteristics and they suit different moods and they achieve slightly different aims. Yes, there is still the core aim at the whole time of being in the here and now, in the present moment, and seeing life unfold rather than away in our thoughts. But each one has a different way of doing that. And each one is different in when it's appropriate. So the invitation is to not always follow the same order or duration that you learned at the outset. Not really be told what to practice, but actually just start to trust yourself and adapt your practice to achieve the purpose that you decide to set for yourself in that particular moment. Sometimes it might be the simplicity of the breath. Sometimes a body scan. Maybe when you're feeling a bit stressed or agitated, actually going to the breath can be too subtle, and actually just touching base with that, the heat or the tension in the body, that sort of stressedness can be actually the best place just to reconnect with the present moment and come out of your thoughts. Sometimes a loving kindness practice, particularly if we're feeling maybe either very excited and wanting to share that love, or actually the opposite, feeling a little bit down, a little bit lonely. Actually, it can be very energizing to drop into that place of loving kindness and really focusing on it. So that's really the invitation to play with these techniques, mix them up, and to trust your inner wisdom to know what you need right now. Just like if you're on a bicycle, you're not pedaling like mad, gripping like mad for the whole of your life, you're varying it according to the terrain that you're in. So let's maybe start with a landing practice, focusing on the body, just to arrive fully in this moment. As I say, this can be particularly useful when we've been quite busy. It's Friday, we've probably all had a busy working week, and actually the body can be a great first port of call just to reconnect with the moment, what's actually going on here. Come out of the busy mind, the planning mind, and the tense body from everything that you're running around doing. So I invite you to participate in a relaxed and mindful way, and maybe just take a moment to just relax your body and our minds, just to give them an opportunity to unwind. Start by sitting comfortably and maybe just resting your hands on top of your legs or crossing them in your lap. You can keep your eyes open or you can close your eyes or keep them open, lower your gaze, whatever's comfortable for you. And just take a long, slow breath in and then a slow breath out. ask you to do now is to take 3 really nice deep breaths, whatever's comfortable for you. But as you breathe, just give whatever stretch your body feels like it needs right now. If you need to stretch outwards, upwards, or just maybe a subtle neck stretch, shoulders into the neck, whatever it is, just 3 deep breaths. And then as you breathe out, just completely relax your body and see how your body just has that desire and that natural affinity to return back to a state of relaxedness. Okay, so let's do it now. 1 deep breath by 1. And then just allow your breath to return to its natural rhythm. And just place your attention gently on your breath for a few moments, just following it as it arises and passes in that natural rhythm. Just making sure that you're not controlling it in any way. And now that we've settled, I'm going to ask you to just take your attention from your breath and just place it on that part of your body that's in contact with either the cushion or the floor or the seat underneath you. It might be your feet, it might be your bottom, it might be your knees and your lower legs. And just feel there's going to be a slight pressure. Just see if you can sit and focus your awareness on that pressure, on the solidity and the support beneath you. If it helps, you can maybe just kind of scrunch your toes just to make sure your awareness is sitting there. Or just gently kind of wriggle if you're kneeling or sitting. Just want to kind of emphasize that point of contact and then just bringing your attention gently to it. And just sense how you are supported. And if you find you moved into thoughts, that's completely normal. Just noticing it, giving it in a smile, and returning the attention back to the point of contact with the floor or the seat or the cushion under you. And remembering that returning, this waking up out of thoughts, just returning to the here and now, this is the practice. It's completely normal that your mind moves away, but we're looking just to spot when we can notice that and acknowledge it and bring our attention gently back to the chosen anchor, which in this case is that point of contact with the floor or cushion or seat under us. And now I'm going to invite you to take your attention and just slowly and gently scan it from that point of contact up through your body. So for example, from the feet, up through the ankles, the calves, the knees, the thighs, the hips, your torso and your tummy and spine, and then your chest up to your shoulders. Maybe making a loop down each arm, crossing over at your hands, and then back up each arm, back to your shoulders, up through your neck, top of your spine, into your head. Just maybe pausing for a second on the very top of your head. Then maybe bringing that attention down your forehead and your nose to your mouth and chin, down your throat and then back to your shoulders, and slowly scanning back down your body to your feet. And just repeating that a few times in your own time, at whatever is comfortable for you. And as you're doing so, just noticing if there's any areas of tension in the body or any areas that are calling for your attention. And if so, just noticing them, but also noticing the wider body that's there. It's not just that particular area. And just seeing if you can breathe and open and soften to them and be aware of them, but also keep scanning. Just taking that attention, scanning slowly up and down your body. Noticing any areas of tension or any area that is calling for your attention, but seeing it as part of a bigger picture of your whole body. A bit like you might see, for example, a cloud in the sky. Maybe a small cloud or a big cloud. You can see it clearly, but you can also see all the sky around it. And as we approach the end of this practice, just maybe sensing, if you can, your whole body for a few moments. You've scanned from top to toe and back again. Can you now feel your whole body? Maybe there's a feeling of the energy coursing through it. Or maybe you can feel your heart beating. Or a vein throbbing. Or your knees or feet slightly aching, or maybe a bit of tension in the shoulders, just feeling the whole body And taking 3 deep breaths as we come to the end of the practice. And then, in your own time, just gently opening your eyes, maybe having a stretch or a sip of water. Okay, so that's a practice that can be really useful in certain circumstances. Let's maybe try the next one. So this time we'll try a breath practice, and we'll throw in a little bit of sound practice at the same time, just because they overlap nicely in my view. So I invite you to settle back into that comfortable position, just remembering that ideally you'd have your knees either at the same height as your hips or very slightly lower, so that your back can be comfortably straight and you can be alert and not sort of sleepy, but above all making sure you're comfortable. And again, you can close your eyes or lower your gaze, whichever you prefer. And I invite you to just bring your attention to the breath as it passes in and out of your body in its natural rhythm. Maybe noticing as it enters through the tip of the nose, passes down the throat. There's a soft kind of rise and fall of your chest and belly, and then how the breath passes out of the body before the cycle repeats. So just sitting with that and noticing that for a few moments. Can you notice if each breath is soft or a bit laboured? Is it short or long? Is it easy or slightly uncomfortable? Just seeing if you can notice the uniqueness of each individual breath as you follow it, as it arises and passes before another different breath arises. As you settle, can you notice that little pregnant pause between each breath, which arises out of the breath as the breath passes, and then gives birth to the breath, which arises out of it. But that little moment of complete stillness between breaths. See if you can notice the movement of the breath, the stillness, the movement of the next breath, and the stillness. as you sit and notice the breath arising and passing, and the stillness, that pregnant pause arising and passing. Can you also notice if there's any sounds around you that may also be arising and passing? Perhaps, if you're lucky, some birdsong, or the passing of a car or some traffic. Maybe people calling or children laughing. Just noticing how, if you're sitting, noticing the silence and then the breath, how these sounds can arise and pass. Just like the breath arises and passes. And just like that, silence of the pregnant pause arises and passes. See if you can observe them all without necessarily going off into thought streams about them, about, for example, whatever the noise is. Just allowing the noise to be, not thinking about whether it's pleasant or unpleasant or thinking about what's caused it. If those kind of thoughts arise, just notice them and give that little inner smile and just bring the attention back to your chosen object, which is the breath arising and passing. And coming back again. And if you notice that your mind is quite busy today, it is the end of the working week, so not to be unexpected. Two things that can help are either to place one hand on your tummy or chest and just kind of physically feel the soft rise and fall of your body as you breathe. So, if you like, reinforcing that attention on the breath with a physical feeling as well as just following each breath. That can be really helpful in stabilizing. And another thing that can help is if a particular pattern of thoughts is arising, maybe planning for this weekend ahead or thinking about the things you need to do before the end of today, or thinking about the kids and picking them up from school. Just naming them as a pattern of thoughts, planning thoughts, and just saying as you're thinking them, oh, I see you planning thoughts, and thank you for reminding me of the things that I'll need to do in the future. But right now I'm choosing to notice you and thank you, but actually to bring my attention back, because in this moment I've chosen to put my attention on the breath and just be in the here and now. And just being completely here. Watching as life unfolds breath by individual breath. Trusting that if we can be truly here right now, then in future moments we can be truly there, whether that's with our children or our partner or our friends over the weekend, whether that's in some kind of competition or sport or music or art. Looking to cultivate that ability to be 100% there with that person or activity, and not pulled away into daydreaming about thoughts of what the future might be, which it might well not be, or reminiscing about the past which has happened and gone and we can't change. Instead, just being, living moment to moment, breath by breath. And as we come towards the end of this practice, just noticing if those very words have caused any thoughts to arise. Remembering that the true nature of the mind is simply to take an initial stimulus and build thoughts off it. That's what it does. But if we can see that, then we can see that we can choose to engage with those thoughts if that's helpful to us, or we can choose just to observe them but to remain with an anchor to the present moment. So just noticing if those few words set off thoughts of, oh, what's next? Or maybe the next practice will be something or other. And if so, just giving that further, maybe final inner smile, just coming back to the breath, seeing the mind for what it is, what it does. And then in your own time, just gently opening your eyes, maybe having a little bit of a stretch or a sip of water or drink. And we'll go into the final practice. Okay, so a bit of a change of scene and tempo to make sure it's not just my voice. I'm going to show a video at the start of this final practice, which will be a loving kindness or metta practice. And I'm going to speak a lot less, going to guide a lot less, and the invitation is to watch the video, which I'll play, and then when I've finished it, just to sit and be with and notice the emotions that it produces for the remainder of the practice.
We who are broken-hearted, we who are madly in love, we who feel lonely, we who are bisexual, and we who acknowledge the courage of others, we who have found the meaning of life. and we who have saved lives. And then there's all of us who just love Denmark. So maybe there's more that brings us together than we think. TV2 Denmark. All that we share.
Did you know that the best way to make an extra income?
So I hope that came up on screen, and maybe just sit there for a few moments and follow the emotions that have arisen as a result of that. Not looking to think about the emotions, but just to feel them in your body, feel them in your heart. And just sensing what emotions that evokes. That sense that whilst people can appear so very different, there are so many things that connect us and make us so very similar. Noticing if the emotion is changing over time. Is it morphing into a different emotion? Is it becoming gradually less strong? Or has it moved you to have thoughts or emotions of a different nature? Noticing how the body feels with each passing emotion. Is it relaxed or tense? Is there a sense of heat or of coolness? A sense of peace or a sense of discomfort? None are right or wrong. It's simply about noticing what is arising right now. And just allowing that to be. Seeing it, maybe even naming it, allowing it, and noticing how, if it's allowed, it also subtly changes as other things arise. And as we come to the end of that practice, just an invitation to take a few deep breaths. And with each one, just express an intention of loving kindness, firstly to ourselves and then to all beings around us. So maybe starting with the following on an in-breath. May I be happy. May I be at peace. May I be truly free. And then the same thing for all beings. May all beings be happy. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be truly free. And then in your own time, just gently opening your eyes and having a stretch or sip of drink before we come back and move into a group discussion. I'll just stop recording before we do that. Thank you.